So, welcome to today's podcast. Let's talk about it. Today's topic is parenting up while parenting down. Those of us who are in or have been or maybe entering into the sandwich generation. Our guest for the day is none other than Mr. Stephen Franklin. Hey, Stephen.
Up.
And he is currently navigating the space. So, we're just going to talk about it and hope that you take some nuggets and tidbits and it'll help you through your journey. So, how you doing today?
I'm good.
Okay,
Fairly well.
fairly well.
Or
All right.
yeah.
And as you and I have talked about before, the whole parenting up while parenting down, you are an only child, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And your mother's health scale of 1 to 5, 5 being, well, I don't want to say that, but 5 not being great, and 1 being super. Where would you rate her?
Um, I would say probably the two.
Okay,
I would probably say three. She would say two.
okay.
Um, I think that for her, it's all the things that she's avoided, different ailments she's avoided up until she's 88 years old. So for her, it's the fact that she's avoided being in the hospital. I think the last time she said that she was in the hospital overnight is when she had me some 50 years ago. So the whole idea of being in a hospital terrifies her. So at 88 years old, now she's experiencing the things that a lot of people honestly probably have experienced between the ages of 60 and 80. So it's all kind of coming back, like the chickens are coming back to roost, so to speak.
Okay, okay. And you right now have how many children?
I have one son who lives in Maryland,
Okay,
and I have a stepson that at one point was staying with us, and he made some decisions on his own, and he is no longer in our household. So, uh, and his mother's an only child, and he's an only child. So we're all kind of dealing with the only child phase as it relates to our relative generations.
okay. Oh, interesting, interesting. And I'm even comfortable, and I may get canceled for saying this, genders, right? As it relates to you being an only child male, your spouse is an only child female. I think that there are things that, and your wife is processing it from being an only child who is the mother to an only child. So she's going through this journey of the child making the decisions to not be in the home anymore from the standpoint of a mother, not as as a child. You know what I'm saying? And so it's
Well, not only that, it's also that it's a male child.
I
So
yeah.
if you spin it that way, it turns into a different scenario because for most of her mothering years, it's been her and him. And
Okay.
so having to parent a male child with having to co-parent a male child with, oh, I have so many wrinkles to this. I mean, why you want me? I could just put it out there and just give you the
Well,
complete.
it's your story to put out.
Oh,
I will
well,
edit a lot of it, I'm sure. But so let's talk about it. So how, just do tell me, tell us
okay.
what you
So
want us
so
to know.
so so we'll so we'll put out there. Her son's father is gay and he's married to another man. So we had that household situation to contend with as far as it deals with values of what is a man and what is not a man, or what's masculine, what's not. And then trying to raise this child in today's society with the uh, freedoms and opinions of people and trying to protect from that, as well as, have that balance. And on the other end of it, he also has ADHD, which let's just put that wrinkle into it as well. So there's a lot of other elements that we have to contend with. So it's that their life was more or less trying to make sure that for her, making sure her son has the best opportunities possible to succeed in today's society.
Okay.
But there's a lot of outside distractions that we feel that, collectively we have to fight against.
Mm.
Um, so it makes it more challenging. We reflect back to how we were as only children, how our parents raised us, how our parents want us to, again, be our best selves, and what that looks like. So, oh yeah, there's a lot of nuances in this whole situation.
Interesting, because next week our topic will be um, your son, is he Black?
Yes.
Okay, next week our topic is parenting minority children in a non-minority world. And so some of what you're discussing are different lenses and different angles of non-majority children, right?
My lens is like looking through a diamond at this point. Um,
With so
but
many facets. Okay.
exactly.
But so you and the missus and the bonus son were in the home together while you are also, um, of course, your mother's still alive and things, but so talk to me about how do you define yourself as parenting up or having to parent up?
Um, I find that I'm a little bit in the middle. Because my mother still, as she'll always say, you will always be a parent. And so she wants to offer advice, and she still wants to parent me, but it's also hard for her to accept advice from her son, who is saying this is what you have to do in today's world, when she's having to face that the world has changed. The world is not the way it was for her when she was growing up.
Can you give me an example of a time that you gave her advice or counsel that's related to that she wasn't quite ready to receive?
Oh yeah, getting rid of her landline in her house.
Oh, interesting.
It
Okay.
was it was a 6 month process to where she identified the landline as it being the last thing that she could hold on to that was a form of stability, let's say. Um, because that the phone number was the same phone number she's had for 50 years. And but as I explained to her, society and technology doesn't care about you having a phone. So
Right.
when the services go out for 2 weeks because they don't want to service it, they're literally trying to give you an opportunity to purchase an internet plan and to have an internet-based phone. So we
Mm-hmm.
got past that, but it took 6 months to do it. Now the new thing is getting the alarm system set up in the house and letting go of the traditional alarm system that has all the wires and the monitoring. Because I've already spent this money once, why do I have to spend it again? It's trying to understand the justification of you have to move forward in order to advance with everybody. It's like trying to explain social media, Facebook, and how people communicate, and how come the news isn't the news anymore. And it's a lot, but she's taking on the idea of it's a learning thing. It keeps her mind active because she sees other people that are her age that she's actually further ahead in understanding the concept of new age technology.
Okay. So some of your parenting up, one of the reasons I wanted to visit this topic is because I lived through parenting up while I was parenting down but it was vastly different in that during the uh, during a real critical season, my parenting up was medical, right? My mother has since passed, but it was medical, and I remember my mother going through the emotion of didn't articulate this, and it wasn't until after she transitioned that I even articulated it, and it was that I represented, for want of a better term, the establishment. So I would go to every doctor's appointment. I was on the list. Yes, talk to her, give her information. And so the doctors would talk to me, I'd take notes. Sometimes I would record. And then when we would come home or go to her home, wherever it was that we go to, and I was saying, hey, we have to do X, Y, and Z. Well, I was part of the establishment, right? Because that's what the doctors were saying to do.
Mm.
And so it was she pushed back a lot. Now she would hear it from my husband. Mark could tell her to, yeah, 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 and it landed differently. But I know that um she appreciated that I was there, right? Because I said, listen, if you don't want me to do this, you can take me off take me off the list or whatever. I want to dance in the lanes you established. So my parenting up um, was a little more challenging in that regard. And I often heard and was reminded that she was my mother and I was her child. uh, I too am an only child. And so, hearing that type of thing. So it's interesting to hear about the components of it that we can almost laugh about. Like, you know what I'm saying? We can get a really good chuckle that your mama wanted to hold on to her landline, right?
Well, let me
It's
ask you this though.
yeah.
Do you think that you said this, that she listened to your husband, he could say the same thing?
Mhm.
You think it's a gender thing? Because I know even with my mother, that if I talk to her a certain way, it's very in a certain tone, is an element of uh, I don't want to say respect, but it
There's a
lends itself to authority, maybe.
I honestly think for my mother, it was when she met my husband, he was an adult. She
Uh
never knew him as a child. And
yeah.
so
She still
she
sees you as her little
correct
girl.
her little
Okay.
girl. And who are you? So it's that. And so it's yeah, that's a good question. Though it could be it 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 could be some of that as well. I hadn't really processed it that way, but I had processed it that again. When she met him, he was a full adult. And yeah.
But it's interesting though, because I had an episode with my mom, she had fallen,
Okay.
and no, she had to her, she had passed out, fallen, whatever. And my mother, I know she's terrified of going to the emergency room. So what I did was I brought my wife. Now, my wife is a registered nurse. And I know no matter what I'm going to say to my mother, she is going to fight me tooth and nail because this is who I am. I don't need to go to the doctor. There's nothing wrong. I bring a nurse by. We bring all the equipment. We do all the testing, whatever. And she says, I think I'll go to the hospital and just to see what's going on. I'm going, there's no way in the world that
Mhm.
we would still be arguing to this day about her going. But she
Yeah.
decided to go, and we took her and she got there, and it was great that my wife helped her because it was like helping her get dressed, and they had to collect the urine sample. There's things that I just could not do. But all the while, my mother is in the triage talking trash, like, oh, my son is completely terrified that I'm in here. I'm like, I can hear you on the other side of the curtain. I'm not
Okay.
terrified.
So let me ask this. If you were to list three challenges of being in the season of up and down, what would you identify as three challenges of parenting
Uh,
up and parenting down?
being heard, being accepted,
Is this
and
on
being
both
valued.
ends? Is this on
Yes,
both ends? Okay.
being heard, being accepted, and being valued.
Okay. Okay. What are three takeaways? What are three things that, I mean, they can be positive or areas of opportunity, or you know what I mean? They don't have to be warm and fuzzy. They don't have to be damsel in despair either. What are three just takeaways from this experience that maybe you've looked at because you the only other role you can play in this, right? is to be the parent who has to be parented too. Am I making sense? Like
Yeah.
you won't default to being a kid again, right? So what are takeaways that you could take with you into that next season of life, the next phase?
Um, it's very hard to change people unless they want to change. And it doesn't matter if the person is 18, if they're 88, which is ironic because there's a 70-year difference between the two of them. And I
Mhm.
feel like I have to deal with them the same way.
Okay.
Is that I can't change either one, but they have to kind of see the value in what I'm saying and in what I'm trying to do. That's why I mentioned the value component.
Okay.
Um, and being heard. To me, it's like I find myself saying the same thing over and over and over again. And
Yeah.
I had to say it 5 or 6 different ways. And I figured at one version of it, they're going to hear and it's going to make sense because it's something that at some point they can relate to. So
Mhm.
my mother is in this phase now of she still holds on to her independence, similar to my stepson. He wants his independence. She's still trying to hold on to hers.
Mhm.
And I understand the value of it when one person's trying to hold on to it, one person feels like they have to let it go. And so you're having to have this conversation that says, I understand, I empathize with you in your struggle and your challenge because I've uniquely been in those places. My mother, I had COVID like 4 years ago. I was hospitalized and I was at home uh, for a long time. And she's like, I understand now what you must have gone through, not being able to do for yourself, having to rely on other people to do things for you. Yes, I've been trying to tell you that for the last 5 years. Now that you're in this particular place, now you understand. Explain to my stepson, hey, bro, I get it. You want certain things, but you have to concede to other things in order to have the things that you ultimately want. It's not
Mhm.
about what pleases you at this particular moment. The instant gratification thing is not working,
Yeah.
right? And you're just trying to explain these lessons, but no one is hearing it. It feels like you fall on deaf ears. And all of a sudden, you just want to just stop talking and stop dealing with people altogether until they want to come around and want to have the conversation.
Okay. And so then what are three points of encouragement that you could leave with uh the listeners? And I'll double back before you answer. If I were to say, if I were to answer the same questions that I posed, three challenges. One of the challenges I faced being in the season was making sure that while I'm caring for my mother and caring for my children, my family, that I cared for myself. Making sure to carve time out for me and in a real and intentional way. Another challenge that I faced was we moved my mother in with us. And so there was the dynamic sometimes of who was the hen of the nest,
Mm,
you know, and yeah, and another the third a third challenge or another point of contention or challenge that um, we faced. Um, Again, I think I would say just having to do with my mother wasn't always as forthcoming with information. My mother was a single mom and was very accustomed for doing, handling all of her business on her own. And so having to bring me in, I mean, she was good about making sure I was on papers and signed, documents were signed. She dotted I's and crossed T's there, but there were just a lot of things I just didn't know, right? You just don't know until you start cleaning out shoeboxes and etc.
mm.
So those were three of the challenges. My three takeaways would be, to be kind to myself, to understand that all of us who are in it, if you are the parent, if you are A, B, or C, right? We're all learning these roles while we're doing them, right? None of us, especially with me, again, being an only child, an only child to a single mother, I didn't have a biological father that, or a bonus dad, or, I hadn't parented up before, right? I had only done it with her. So I didn't have a dry run. She had only had me. It wasn't like she lived with a brother or a sibling, a sister of mine, and then came to move with me and was like, okay, well, I know how to do it. She hadn't done it before, and my children hadn't seen it before, right? My husband hadn't seen it before. So it was that it was truly learning how to navigate that as we went. Another takeaway is that as difficult as all of it was, I would absolutely do it again. It was the greatest gift that I could give to my mother and honestly to my children. I was able to parent up as well as I did because I saw my mother doing it for her parents. But the difference was when my mother was doing it, I was a full adult, right? I mean, she didn't have to necessarily parent down. She just got to parent up. And I saw that. And then the takeaway would, again, to just enjoy the laughter of it, because there will be laughter. So then that brings us to the third question. And the final question is, what are 3 points of encouragement that we could give to listeners who may be in these seasons, or who may one day find themselves in these seasons, or who are no longer in the season and are feeling some type of way about the season that they experience? What say you, Stephen? What are 3 points of encouragement?
It's ongoing.
Okay.
Because I also find that if you're not parenting your own parents, you may have to parent somebody else. So the same skills are transferable, right? My best friend's father lives by himself, and I had to go at some point visit this man because he's got a new cell phone. He doesn't know how to use it. This is not, but this is a person that's like a father, but my friend is the only child. He was like,
Okay.
I need somebody that I can trust that's going to help my dad. So it's the same, and I have to treat him the same way as I treat my mother. The personalities are very similar. So I have to
Well,
treat
that whole
them.
generational thing too,
Right. The
right?
generation thing is huge because they came from a post-depression era. And not to get off track of what the question that you asked me, but it's very important to understand the mindset of people from the generations that they come from, because those events in their life establish their belief system. So what I found is that I had to be genuine, I had to be honest and authentic because that's what they value. Okay. I believe in what you said about the whole thing about self-care. Can't beat myself up over everything because they are the parent. I'm still the child. I can't take it personally.
Oh, that's
Right.
good.
I mean, we
That's
took, we,
good.
I mean, we took, no, because growing up, we took things personally when our parents, told us what we couldn't do. And the same thing goes when you turn 50. They're going to still tell you what you can't do. And you just learn at this point not to take it personally,
Yeah, that's good.
regardless if they're 18 or 88, it doesn't matter. Can't take it personally because it's still a job, it's still a responsibility, it's a role that you play. And it's about the self-care. The other thing too is that because of the situation, it's not always about me, because I have to deal with his mother and the challenges that she's going through because she, again, single parent, for a long time, trying to do the best she can with the only child that she has. And I have to value that relationship the same way, but I also have to support her and encourage her to not just give up, and still be supportive, but maybe, mind her distance, or just be a little understanding. This, especially me being a male, I can say, hey, this is what he's going through right now. This is what he's dealing with. So maybe you should, maybe do this. because I know how my mother might have been at the time. And I'm thinking, I know what drove me crazy. So let's not do that. Let's try this differently. So in some cases, it's trying to show her what I would have liked to have seen,
Mhm.
but given the understanding of and the support of saying you need a break too. So whatever
Yeah.
self-care that I have to make sure I have self-care for her too, and say, hey, let's go out and have it. Let's go out to dinner. Let's go do this. And then the interactions we have with him, he's looking at us like, are you guys okay? Yeah, sure. Do you miss me? No, I don't miss you screaming at 2 o'clock in the morning playing the video game. I'm gonna be honest. But show them, but this is a decision that you make. So when you make these decisions, you want to be an adult. This is what this is. And just learn to be, for me, is learning to be uh steady.
Okay.
And especially between, between A and B. It's like, well, you know what? This is my rule. This is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to move forward because that's how the world works.
Yeah.
Um, but I say for the most part, it's like I value the time in a relationship because it's not going to be roses. It's not going to be fun.
Mhm.
I go by visit my mom. I know I'm going to hear the same stories over and over again. The same story I heard yesterday and the day before 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 and the day before.
Right,
That's
right,
just who
right.
she is. But I also have to sometimes get in her head and kind of go, okay, now I understand where you are. Let me adapt and adopt things that will help you
Right.
because I have to take care of you at the end of the day because there's no one else. There's no cousins or nieces, nephews, or anybody that's going to step in and do what I'm going to do because I know her the best. And I know she values that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I could echo some of those sentiments. I know that um I remember when we moved mama in again, being super independent and da 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 da. And that was there was that, she didn't want to have to, she didn't want to, it wasn't that she didn't want to be with us. She didn't want to live, she didn't want to be a burden.
Right.
That was her thing. I don't want to be a burden. I mean, we had plenty of space. We have the space. She just knew that when you put another human being, right, into the mix, there's a
Mhm.
leveling out, if you will. And at that point, when she moved in with us, both we had two children at home. Our eldest son had just graduated from college and was working and everything. He has since relocated out of state with his job. But at that point, we were a family of four. We had a dog. I mean, it's just there were a lot of moving parts, and she became a part of it. And I can remember her saying to me more than once, I don't want to be a burden. And my mother and I had a really honest relationship with one another. And I was able to say to her, it's a burden I choose.
Mm.
Yeah, no, it's not that, no, you're not a burden, because it is, but it is a burden that I choose. I choose you. I remember telling her that I choose you. I choose to do this. Um, and her being able to receive what I was saying, no stank on that, right?
Right.
I, because in in the industry, as ordained clergy, I can tell you when you say, you know what, I got to do it because it's me, it's on me, it's gonna fall on me, da 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 da. I got to do it because I'm her son, I'm her only son. I got to do it. Believe it or not, we're an anomaly. There, there are so many people whose children don't choose,
Right.
right? To serve them in the end. I mean, even with your friend, now your friend is making the choice to take care of his dad. And your friend is like, hey, I need to call you, go check on my dad. I need somebody I can trust. That's caring for, right? There are people who don't even, you know what I mean? It's you would be, and maybe you wouldn't. I don't want to presuppose anything, but I know that I was stunned as I worked more and more in ministry and learned more and more about people's stories and I'm like, what do you mean, sister? you know, Jane Doe has three children and nobody nobody's taking her grocery shopping. What do you mean? You know, so um that would be for me, those would be some of my encouragements to the people is that wherever if it's a journey that you're doing it because you choose to. So don't allow negativity to creep in because it's a choice, and then really relish the choice to be able to serve. Because if you're choosing to serve, it's either because you had a parent who modeled it, a parent who poured into you, and you feel like at this point it's reciprocal, or it's just a strong calling that you feel like you need to do.
I
Um,
think one of the things that's interesting, my mother used to be a caregiver up until COVID. So
okay.
what she would do is that she would go and she would sit with other elderly people who were in hospice.
Mm-hmm.
And she would kind of watch and monitor what people's families did and did not do. And her biggest fear grew to be, I hope I'm never in this situation.
Yeah.
But as my life went through changes and realizing that I was the only person that she had to rely on, it made her feel kind of shaky a little bit because she uh, had in her mind, and I tell her, you can't expect you out of other people. So if you're
Oh,
this person that is going to bend over backwards and do this, that's fine. That's you, but you can't expect someone else to do it.
mm-hmm.
So, we would fall out about, you know, how the proximity that I live relative to where she lives. It's only less than 5 miles. But
Yeah.
I'm not over there, but I'm not over there every day.
Right.
And
Right. Right. Right.
like, well, I have a job, I
Yeah.
have family, I have other things.
Yeah.
You're retired and you're counting my time. And
Ah.
I've had to set, so sometimes you also have to level set boundaries. This is
No, you
look,
do. You do.
I
You do.
can't be over here just to entertain you because you're bored
Yeah.
or you need someone to talk to. But I realized that I'm doing a little just personal inventory of not only myself but her too. And I'm like, all her friends have gone, have
Yeah.
passed on, and so she's looking for something to do. She can't volunteer anymore. Her health
Mhm,
is failing, and
mhm.
there's the ever seeking, uh, mortality that's floating around in the back of her head.
Right.
So
Because again, not
I'm
to be morbid, but your mother's 88, right? So
right.
I'm comfortable saying she has, fewer sunsets ahead, right?
Yeah,
Than,
and
behind.
she's well aware of that, but she also um trying to uh she compares herself and her situation to other people. I'm like, you can't do that because I am
Right.
not them. Now,
Right.
if you saw a family of multiple siblings and none of the siblings were doing something, that's what, but you don't know the family dynamics either. So you
Right.
really can't make that comparison in that measure. Um, and she's learning to understand it a little bit more because at the end of the day, you got what you got.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and everyone's doing the best they can with what they have
Yeah.
in order to support. Now, on the flip side, I got an 18-year-old who feels like the whole world should just do it at his whim. He's finding out that the world don't operate like that either. So, like I
Mhm.
say, you're teaching similar lessons and similar boundaries, and
The
uh,
transferable skill that you mentioned, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but everything has to be age appropriate too,
Yes.
right? So where I can't, physically be there, we take care of her grocery shopping, call her on Thursday. What do you need? Well, I
Yeah.
need this, I need this, and fine, we order for you. You need your house clean? We'll try to send somebody over there. You got your grass getting cut. You have the things that you need, and you're finding that the people are meeting your needs with what they can do. Maybe not the way you want it done, but at the end of the
Yeah.
day, your needs are getting taken care of.
Yeah.
And your
Yeah.
wants are your wants.
Okay. Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
um, but it's a challenge. But I mean, it's where we are.
Well, I would love to revisit this topic. One of the things I was saying at the top of when we got on together before I started recording was that I would love to get some other voices in the space. There were, again, I was driving this morning, there were two people I thought of who have similar, right, parenting up or parenting down. So I would hope you'll be open to revisiting this with some other people in the space, and seeing what we can do to verbally process, right? To be cathartic for our own selves while giving information to our listeners, and I guess our viewers, because we're recording, we can see our faces. I don't know how people are gonna
This is gonna be fun. I
experience.
promise my lighting will be better next time.
Okay. Well, this is
we
good.
have
I'm
to
gonna stop recording. This is good because what it does is it gives us a good